11,000 euros.
Seems they finished dinner. The judges are back in the courtroom there in Florence, Italy, and it appears we're about to get a verdict in the Amanda Knox trial. We have a translator. Let's listen.
For Stephanie Kelcher and Lyle Kelcher, 11,000 euros. John Leslie Kelcher and Carolina Kelcher, 15,000 euros as provided by law. And 90 days from today for the explanation of the verdict, and then the court
pronunciando ordinanza di cui viene data lettura ai fini della notifica alle parti presenti.
Notifies the parties. Seen the request of the application of precautionary measure to because the only need for precautionary measure because of the guilty verdict today is to prevent them fleeing the country, and because at the moment, as far as Amanda Knox is concerned, Amanda Knox at the moment is illegally in her own country as a result of the not guilty verdict, which is today overturned. So today she cannot flee the Italian territory, and Raffaele Sollecito is an Italian citizen with the Italian passport. Even though he has not fled the country, he has shown the availability of logistical supports in countries where the Italian state does not have is not covered by sufficient treaty. Therefore, we have to put a travel ban with confiscation of his passport and any other identity documents that could be used to leave the country. So, on the basis of the articles of the criminal procedure, we apply the precautionary measure of a travel ban to Sollecito Raffaele. He cannot leave the country without the authorization, and we withdraw his passport and any other documents that can be used to leave the country. So we close the hearing.
Well, that was a little bit confusing, wasn't it? Thankfully, Arthur Aidala was here and didn't have to endure that translator because he can hear them in Italian. Arthur, what just happened?
Well, the biggest part that I was able to hear was they're guilty. They're very concerned about Raffaello, who they do have control over.
Raffaele Sollecito was the boyfriend at the time of this murder, and it was the two of them who were accused of murdering Meredith Kircher, in a drug-fueled sex game in their apartment. Go on.
And he was apparently in court today, but he got so nervous and then he left court. But they just announced that they're ordering that he has to give in his passport. He's got to give in any identification documents that he could travel, because he's already been proven to be able to travel to countries that do not have an extradition treaty with Italy. So he could go to a country where he's out of reach from the Italian government. They just touched on Amanda Knox briefly, just by alluding to the fact that she's in America and they don't have the power at this point to take her passport or her travel documents. And at this point, they don't have the power. They didn't say this, but they don't have the power to ask America to bring her over, because there's still this other level of appeal that is going to take place now back up to the highest court, which is the same court that sent it back down here. Now, the highest court is going to examine whether this trial, which was a 4-month trial, was done properly, and whether the evidence was presented properly, et cetera, et cetera.
So what happened was she was convicted a long time ago, then
4 years in jail,
and spent 4 years in jail, and then a court said the evidence was no good, the DNA is unreliable, the cops bungled the crime scene, we got to do this again.
Correct.
And they did it again, and they found them guilty now.
They found them not. They did it the first time guilty, the second time not guilty, and now this is the third time guilty.
And now they're going to do it again.
And now, well, I don't believe they're going to do a whole trial. They're going to do much more similar to what we do in the United States of America. They're going to look more at the process and the procedure as opposed to the facts. The biggest difference between the two judicial systems is in our judicial system, there's one trial to find the facts, and then the appeals court basically makes sure you played by the rules. But in Italy, when they determine you didn't play by the rules, they allow another court to hear all the facts all over again, this was the third fact-finding mission that the Italian government went on.
Jonathan Hunt's monitoring things. Jonathan, go through the details of what they were just convicted of. Rafael Sollecito and Foxy Knoxy, Amanda Knox, both convicted.
Both of them were originally convicted back at the 2009 trial, Shep, of murder and sexual assault. They were then acquitted of those charges. This court has now overturned that acquittal, finding them in effect once again guilty of the murder and sexual assault of 21-year-old Meredith Kircher, with whom Amanda Knox shared an apartment in Italy. She is, according to the court, guilty. The court also said she is illegally, this is a quote, in her own country, a signal that they will at some point try to seek her extradition back to Italy to serve those 26 years in jail, Shep.
And the guess is, and it's only that they'll have a very hard time making that happen.